It is a scam when you don't allow everyone to operate on fair terms.
We are the Robin Hoods of sports betting. We take something back from the rich bookies and enable our customers to beat them instead.
G'day everyone and welcome to our FIFA World Cup 2022 daily live streams on the Trademate Sports Betting podcast. Today we will be previewing tomorrow's group games, which are Croatia versus Belgium, Canada versus Morocco, Japan versus Spain, and Costa Rica versus Germany. Please send through any questions you guys have got throughout the stream, any comments, and I will get to them as quickly as possible. And today that will be as imperative as it gets, as I am by myself. Unfortunately, we've had some late falling out, some late injuries or a late injury to Paul, so he's had to pull out. So unfortunately for you guys, you will have to listen to my awful voice for the next however long we go for. I'll try and make it short and sweet. Obviously, my opinions are not as valid as the guys we get on. So hopefully I can provide some kind of insight to the odds, what they're doing, the games tomorrow, how they might play out, and at least give you guys something to nibble on. But please send through as many comments as humanly possible so you can give me something to nibble on here, something to play around with. Today's games, I was up watching the Australian game, of course. Unbelievable, to say the least. I think more unbelievable is probably the performance of Denmark throughout the tournament. They've been easily, I think, the biggest letdown of the tournament. Their form coming in was great. One of the top top countries in Europe coming in, and they were hopeless today. They really were. They performed pretty well in the first half. Possibly could have got a goal in the first half against Australia. But in the second half, they barely pulled a punch to an Australian team who were, a poor Australian team, poor defensively overall, and they didn't put them in any kind of trouble in the second half. I didn't think so. Overall, it was a pretty even game. Maybe the fair result was probably a draw, but good old Matthew Leckie scored an absolute stunner. France-Tunisia game, didn't get to watch that one. Sorry, just got a comment here. Happy to have you around, Henry. Fly through some comments for me. The France-Tunisia game, obviously France rested a lot of players, so bit of a weird game there. But Tunisia nicked it. So France nearly let Australia down a little bit, and Tunisia nearly got through. They probably weren't expecting Australia to win, but luckily we did. And then what other games do we have? Argentina just then beating Poland. Only caught about a half of it, but Poland looked pretty dreadful in that one. Argentina very dominant, stressful end there for anyone that had Mexico not to qualify or Poland to qualify. Like myself, it was very stressful. And then Mexico and Saudi Arabia 2-1 in the end. Mexico probably, pretty unlucky not to go through there. So, they basically, they go out because of goals differential, but they wouldn't have been pushing for a third goal if it wasn't for the fair play thing. So pretty crazy it got down to that. But anyway, let's go on to today's games. Croatia versus Belgium. Odds here, 2.76 for Croatia. This is just the latest Pinnacle odds. The draw, 3.38. Belgium, 2.71. Asian handicap at the draw no bet line, and over-under at 2.25. A draw does get Croatia through, whereas Belgium probably need a win to advance, obviously depending on the results in the other game, which is the who's playing? Canada Morocco game. So depends a little bit on that. But looking at the table now, you've got Croatia on 4 points, Morocco on 4 points, and Belgium on 3. So if Belgium get a draw and maybe Morocco gets smashed by Canada, which is pretty unlikely, then Belgium could go through with a draw. But most likely they're going to need to win this game, which makes things very interesting. I would say overall, Croatia have been the better team throughout the tournament over the 2 games. I am surprised. I think it's mostly game state that Belgium are favourite now, just because they need a win, so they're really going to go for it. So I can understand them being at the slightest of slight favourites. But, when you've got a team that desperately need a goal, it doesn't exactly mean that they should be favoured to win. I mean, it means that they're just going to expose themselves even more at the back. And you've got those aging Belgium defenders. I wouldn't want them to be chasing down any of the Croatian attackers. So, when they're going to be, you would think, playing with a pretty high line. So, I would have Croatia as favourite. I don't think game state, earns Belgium favourite, especially on the case that they have been quite poor this tournament. Belgium, they were clearly outplayed by Canada, and Croatia, pretty drab affair versus Morocco first up, but showed their class against Canada. So I think Croatia should be clear favourite. I wouldn't steer anyone away from any kind of win bet on Croatia, but for me, I think let's have a look at some of the handicaps here on Croatia. I'm just trying to see what the minus. Yeah, right. So if you go double chance on Croatia, you get 1.52, which I don't think's terrible, but I just find it very hard to see Belgium win this game unless they score an early-ish kind of goal and then they sit back defensively for the rest of the game. But I mean, considering Morocco were able to break them down, I don't see why Croatia wouldn't be able to also. Just looking through some other ones here. Croatia 0 goals is at 343. I mean, sorry, Belgium 0 goals at 343 here on Pinnacle. Something like that. I would not steer anyone away from that. I just think Croatia, pretty solid defensively. They kept Morocco to 0. They did concede an early goal to Canada, which is a little bit of a worry. But in that game, they were really attacking minded, had to get the win. In this game, I could see Croatia potentially dominating possession and holding onto the ball a little bit, making Belgium really work for it. So maybe the potential angle here is actually just betting Croatia draw no bet at 197. I think they should be favourites. And I just find it really difficult to see Belgium winning this game. And if the game is level heading into the later stages, I think a Croatia goal is more likely than a Belgium goal, just because they'll be stretching themselves really far to try and find that winner. So I think for me, if you're going to bet this one, maybe the goal line's just about right, considering Croatia could play quite conservatively and, be happy for a low-scoring game. But on the other hand, it could get out of hand if Croatia score an early goal too. So I think Croatia 197 on draw no bet. I think they're the better team, and game state towards the end of the game, I think Croatia can keep things tight, defend Belgium for most of the game. And I think as we get later into the game state really favours them, as Belgium will get desperate and definitely most likely need a goal in that, unless for some weird reason Canada are beating Morocco by goals. So let's lock that one in for the first one. That would be my best bet for tomorrow in that game. Croatia have drawn no bet 1.97. All right, let's move on to the second game in Group F. I think this is Group F. Let's just call it Group F for the sake of this stream. We've got Canada versus Morocco. I think out of all the games tomorrow, this is the hardest one for me to break down. You've got Canada at 3.73, the draw at 3.38, Morocco at 2.16, Asian handicap 0.25, and the over-under at 2.25. Yeah, Canada are out basically unless they somehow, actually, are they completely out? I think they are completely. Yeah, they are. They are completely out of the tournament. So they've got nothing to play for here, and you would expect them. They're quite an exciting attacking team. You would expect them to go out there and try and score some goals. And a draw for Morocco here gets them through to the knockouts. So there's two ways you could look at it. Potentially, Canada. It depends how Canada play. I think I would most likely lean towards it. Canada having a crack here, and trying to score goals and make this an exciting game, which opens up goals for Morocco too. But I just you get worried that if Morocco go 1-0 up, that they'll just be like, all right, that'll do us for today. We'll take the 1-0 and not really try and press the action too much. But if Canada keep fighting, then there's goals once again for Morocco there. Yeah, Henry here says I think Morocco is winning it. I do think 2.16 for Morocco to win this game is pretty decent, because if we look at game state here, Canada, people might argue against that. Canada could go defensive in this game and just be like, oh, we don't want to, go out with another loss. Potentially. But I think for me, I would say Canada have a crack in this game, and which leaves them exposed at the back. They haven't got a great defensive line. I think there's goals in Morocco for this if Canada play their normal way. And either way, if Morocco decide, 1-0, we're gonna be happy with that. Still means you're gonna win your bet if they win 1-0. And also Morocco could, score more and more goals, the more offensive that Canada get. Canada, they're an impressive attacking unit, so I'm not going to say that if, Morocco sit back, they would win this game. Still on like a 1-0 kind of scoreline, but yeah, goal line, I kind of think it looks about right. 2.25. I could see people favouring goals, favouring goals in this game. But I just get worried that Morocco could make this a bit of a drab affair, and be able to just keep Canada out, and maybe nick a goal here and there. So yeah, even like a Morocco here, Murphy here said Morocco 2-0. Even a Morocco 2-0 win, you're only going to get, if you go under or over 2.25, you would lose half your stake, and so you're still not getting any kind of win at all there. So, yeah, I'm thinking in this one, Morocco versus Canada, if you're forcing me to have a play here, I think I might actually, have a little bet here. 2.14 or 2.16, whatever they're at, for Morocco to win this game, just because I think game state favours them a little bit. I think they're defensively solid enough to keep out Canada. I mean, they kept out Belgium. They kept Belgium to 0. They kept Croatia to 0. Still haven't, they haven't conceded a goal this tournament. You would expect. I know Canada are a good attacking outfit. Some would say they're a better attacking outfit than Belgium. I wouldn't argue against that. So, decent chance there's goals in this one for them, but I think game state a little over evens for Morocco to win this game. I think that's pretty decent. So if we're going to have a bet in this one, let's go Morocco to win the game. She's got a comment here from Marinko back towards the Croatia game. Croatia won't be conservative. We will attack as much as we can. We don't know how to play any other way. Yeah, well, we'll see. A draw gets Croatia through. Maybe they'll attack the game to start with, but as it goes on, potentially get a bit more defensive. But Croatia versus Morocco, the first game, I wouldn't say Croatia were really going for it too much from memory. So, yeah. All right. So we've got two games there gone already. I think that Canada-Morocco one's a bit of a tricky one, though. You just don't know how. You just don't know how Morocco could potentially set up. But as I said, Canada, I think they'll go for it. So I think Morocco are worth a little play on the counter, something like that. All right, Costa Rica versus Germany. Costa Rica, it's 26.61. The draw, 11.67. Germany, 1.1. And the Asian handicap is at 2.75. And the over-under at 3.75. Odds-wise, the most lopsided match of the tournament so far. Germany obviously need a win here to go through, and Costa Rica, if they want to get through, they may only need a point depending on the result of the Spain-Japan match. You would expect this to play out as anyone would. Costa Rica are going to sit back exactly like they did against Japan and Spain and try and nick a goal on the counter. The difference is that, Germany are arguably the most attacking, the most potent attacking side out of the group. I'm sure people will argue that Spain are, but, at least they're pretty level in terms of their attacking potential. And we saw what happened with Costa Rica in that first game, 7-0. Now, I think, 7-0, it's a bit of a ridiculous scoreline. So it's hard to look at these odds and say, yeah, just because Costa Rica lost to Spain 7-0, Germany will be able to do the same, or get a 5-6-0 kind of scoreline. But I think the main thing here, that's why I'd kind of stay away from the over-unders and the Asian handicaps, because you get the feeling even if Costa Rica are down 2-0, that they're probably just going to play the exact same way. I don't know. Maybe they'll have a crack. I'm not too sure. But obviously you don't want to be backing Germany at 1.1. That's not very fun, especially considering Costa Rica held out Japan for the whole game. But obviously I have no confidence in Costa Rica being able to win this game or keep Germany out for the game. I think this game, Germany should win. Sorry. I think Germany, will most likely win this game. And the bet I like here is if I can just get up the odds quickly on Odds Checker. As people know from yesterday, I'm not too flash on the old Odds Checker. Yeah, I think this is coming in. But it seems to have come in at quite a few books. But Germany, I'll get our Odds Checker up on the screen so you guys can see what books have got it. Germany to win to 0. We know that Costa Rica, I know Germany are not the most defensively sound prospect, but Costa Rica are potentially the worst attacking team in the competition. They're just going to sit back, try and defend their box the whole game. And I think Germany's style of play will just, I would not be surprised if we have a scenario here where Costa Rica just basically get 1-2 shots on goal the whole game. So I think the chances of Costa Rica scoring a goal are very minimal and Germany winning the game, they're at 1.1 for a reason. So, Germany to win to 0. I think this kind of game, just let's not get, let's not go too crazy and say that Germany are going to win by a ton of goals. They did struggle to put the ball in the back of the net against Japan, even though they racked up the XG there. They don't really have a great center forward, you would say. Got plenty of great attackers, but they haven't got that, that Harry Kane or that, name any kind of like incredible striker, Lewandowski, these kind of guys. So I wouldn't be backing them to overcome a huge handicap like that. But I think what I would be looking at is Germany to win to nil. I think if they do win the game, what are the chances that Costa Rica score a goal? I just think Costa Rica scoring a goal in this one is so minimal. So you got Bet Victor there, 1.7. I'd be all over that. I'd probably take anything at 1.65 and over for Germany to win to nil in this one. Just, yeah, like I said, if Germany win, find it very unlikely that pretty unlikely that they concede a goal. Got some comments coming through here, which is great. Yeah, Marinko, just back to the first game we looked at today, Croatia and Belgium. He says Belgium has to attack, and that favours us. We have a bigger chance versus attacking Belgium than from a defensive Morocco. Yeah, couldn't agree more. And that's, kind of what my thought was around draw no bet for Croatia. They've got a game state advantage here, I would say. And everyone's giving me the congrats on the Aussies. How good. Donny Brasco says congrats on the Aussie win. Same with Marinko there. Congrats on Australia going through, well deserved. Oh, it's just I can't believe we're talking about it. It's probably the worst Australian team I've ever seen in my short lifetime since about 2006. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Don't know how they did it. I think it was mostly just down to Denmark this tournament being as poor as they were. It's quite crazy to say. So yeah, I think that's enough for the Germany game. That's probably my best bet so far. I like there 1.7 for Germany to go to win to nil. Japan versus Spain to finish us off today. Japan are at 8.8. 4.79, 4.59 the draw, 1.42 for Spain to get the win. Asian handicap 1.25 and over under 2.75. Very similar odds to the Germany-Japan game to kick things off in this group last week, which I think's, quite interesting. Spain just need a point to go through. Even a loss probably gets them through here. They are sitting on 4 points, I believe. Let's have a look. They're on 4 points, Japan on 3. So if they get a draw here, they'll go to... Sorry, if they get a loss here, then they would still stay on 4 points. But then a German victory would take them to 4 points. And then it would just be down a goals differential. So they could even potentially lose. They're at 7 goals differential now. Germany at -1. So let's just say Japan beat them by 1 goal. They go to 6 goals differential. Germany would then need to beat Costa Rica by like 8 goals or something like that. 7 goals, something like that, which is possible. So yeah, Spain are basically through at this point. And Japan will be going for the win, you would think, but I still think that they'll probably most likely sit back and let Spain control possession. Even if they wanted to take the game on, I think Spain are going to control possession, aren't they? Yeah, and I tend to think that Japan are probably too big once again. Would you say that the odds are essentially telling us now that they think the chances of Japan replicating something like they did against Germany are at, true odds of about 9 or more, 9-1 or 8-1, whatever, which correlates to like a, 12, 13% kind of percentage there. Would you say Japan's chances of winning it are that low and repeating something like they did against Germany? I'm not too sure. I mean, Spain, when they had the lead, they got ultra defensive against Germany and sat back, and Germany were able to get lots and lots of shots on goal. They didn't exactly look like a team that you'd trust to sit back in a low block and defend a lead. And, Japan could potentially, it's not like Spain are experts at breaking down a low block. Sure, they, broke down the low block of Costa Rica, but that's Costa Rica. This is Japan. The big thing would actually be just thinking off the top of my head is Tomiyasu playing? Because I think I didn't watch their last game, Japan, but I believe that he went off injured, didn't he? So I'm not too sure if he. Yeah, I'm not too sure if he is actually. Here we go. I got a news article here. I can quickly read. Yeah, it looks like he's got a bit of a hamstring. Oh, okay, so he didn't even play against Costa Rica, right? Sorry. So I would assume hamstring injury. I would assume Tomiyasu is probably not going to play. Yeah. So, g'day, Neil. Good to have you on, mate. And Marinko, I couldn't agree more. I was heartbroken that day. We got that penalty call against Italy, something I'll never forget. Yeah, I thought that Messi shout today was pretty poor for the penalty. Anyway, Japan versus Spain. Back to that. So I'm assuming Tomiyasu is going to be out, which heavily affects their abilities to defend Spain. So maybe this is all kind of justified now. I'm probably not going to bet Japan at those odds. Maybe have a tiny little nibble, but the angle I liked here was, let me just get up the. I like the unders. I think 2.75 is quite a it's quite a big line here. I mean, let's look at the table here. If Japan get a draw, they are at a 0 goals differential, and Germany -1. So you expect Germany to win that game, which probably takes them above Japan, even if Japan get a draw. So I guess the goal line is where it is now, because they're expecting Japan to really at least take it to Spain in some kind of way and try and get a goal or multiple goals to get the win. So yeah, Japan need a win to go through here. Basically, you would think, which kind of makes it, yeah. Yeah, I know Neil said he's quite heavy on Pedri passes here. Line 72.5 at 365. Think he hits it comfortably. I guess the worry would be if Japan really take the initiative in this one. Maybe they go down a goal early and think, right, we need to win this game to go through. So we get on the attack here, and dominate possession a bit more. And I'm a little bit worried with the way Spain played in that second game, against Germany. But I do agree with you, Neil. I think that probably is a little bit low. Yeah, it's a tricky one to break down. There's the only other thing I looked at was potentially Japan on the handicap. But as we saw today, you can get Asian handicap at 1.25 for Japan plus 1.25. Yeah, just because we saw today that once the likes of Poland, for example, once they went that goal down, they had to attack Argentina. It just exposed them so much, and realistically, they should have. There was a good chance that Poland could have lost 3-4-0 in that game. So when it comes to these games where certain teams need a win, it's really difficult to go and play on those handicaps. But what about some of these other alternative handicaps? You could look at something like Japan really taking it to Spain and trying to get that goal. You can get Spain minus 2.25 goals at 3.55. I probably wouldn't steer anyone too far away from that. But yeah, I think overall I'm finding this one quite difficult to break down in terms of the match odds. So I might just leave it. Spain, you would think there's goals in this for them considering Tomiyasu being out, and Japan did concede a lot of XG to Germany. Potentially a Spain win to 0. Could we look at that? Let's see what the odds are on that. Feel free to send through any bets you guys like. Spain's win to 0 at 2.3. That's at Unibet. Can be bookmakers too. It's an interesting play because you would expect Spain to dominate possession. They're pretty solid defensively. Could potentially get caught on the counter. But Japan, they didn't rack up much XG against the Germans, nor did they do that well against Costa Rica. 2.3. Oh, it's not the worst. Let's have a look at some of the comments here on the chat. First half, probably the 0-0 halftime count is staggering at the World Cup so far. Let's have a look at that. What have we got here for the first half? First half draw is at 2.5 for Japan versus Spain. I'm trying to see if there's a first half correct score of 0-0 somewhere. I'm not very good on the old on the old odds check. Oh, correct score first half. Here we go. 0-0's at 3.25. I don't mind that. I do not mind that at all. Maybe that's the bet for us all. Yeah. 3.65, 3.25. Yeah. So you get that 3.65 Sky Bet, Smarkets. The draw, yeah, I could see Japan playing, play the way they like to normally play and hope to catch Spain on the counter. Spain are not going to be like going balls to the wall trying to get a goal here because the draw gets them through, and it also gets them top of the group too, which is important because they won't want to. Well, I don't know. It depends who tops Group E or Group F. Sorry, it's a bit of a lottery at the moment, but they'll want to top the group. You would think. Or at least they need a draw at least, to go through probably, or at least they might. So yeah, Spain probably pretty happy to take the draw here. Not going to go crazy to get the first half goal. I think that's a good bet. 0-0 at halftime for the draw at Japan. That's a good shout, I think. Good shout. And we saw that even today. Argentina versus Poland. Saw that in the Mexico-Saudi Arabia game. I would expect Japan are a very pragmatic side. I would expect them to be happy to take a 0-0 into halftime. So yeah, let's lock that in. And that shall do us. Best bets for tomorrow. I'll go with Germany to win to 0 at 1.7. And what was this? I like Croatia draw no bet too. I think that's quite solid. Canada, Morocco. Let's go for the win there at well above evens there. I think that's probably the weakest play of the day though, I would say. And then Japan versus Spain. I do like that 0-0 at halftime. I think it's a much better chance of happening than what it's priced at the moment. Would you say it's a 33% chance? At least I would say so. Guess the issue is just that Japan defense and what it looks like against without Tomiyasu. All right, but let's do that for today. Thanks for all the comments, guys. Be back tomorrow with Neil, the man himself. He'll be with me tomorrow, unless I know we get another late sickness, which would be awful. You'd have to listen to me once again. But yeah, hope today's been okay. Sorry for my shite opinions on a lot of things. But if you did enjoy, you can give me a little follow at @AlexVella_ on Twitter for my opinions on the Socceroos. Unfortunately, we're going to be playing Argentina next. I was hoping we were going to get Poland or a Saudi Arabia, but yeah, sadly we got Argentina. But look, you never know. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. But thanks for listening, everyone. Please make sure you do a quick rate and review of the podcast and subscribe to us wherever you listen to our podcast. And if you're looking to implement some of the strategies we talk about on the podcast, especially the value betting ones, start a free week trial of Trademate Sports. Once again, we will see you tomorrow. Same time. Cheers, guys.